Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation episode 76. I'm Jeff, and if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Nindie Nation is your weekly dose of everything independently developed for the Nintendo Switch and is brought to you by the Nintendo Village. This week we're covering August 1st through the 7th, and we'll take a look at every single indie game releasing on the Nintendo eShop. After we're done there, we'll head on over to the Great Deals tab and pick our favorite deals to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced. Nindie Nation episodes post to podcast feeds on Monday, as well as in video form on the Nindie Nation YouTube channel, where you can see footage of every game we cover, as well as Let's Plays and other shows such as Nindies We Love. If you recall, we're adding a new rotating segment at the end of the podcast, so a couple of things might seem out of place this week. Just consider us one of those websites from 1998 that has a bunch of gaudy under construction GIFs down at the bottom. If you have any feedback for the show or want to participate, leave it in the YouTube comments or hit us up on Twitter at Nindie Nation. This week, my question for you is simple. Should I stream? I've realized that most Thursday nights I end up sitting at my desk bouncing around between new Nindies and capturing game footage, so I thought maybe I would see if any of you would like to jump in and chat. I'll leave my Twitch information in the description and on Twitter, so if Thursday rolls around, I'm playing games at 10 p.m. Eastern, and I'm by myself the entire time, well, I'll probably just roll up in a ball, assume nobody likes me, and stick to this show. No pressure, though. Okay, time to get into the games. As you know, in between episodes, a few indie games tend to sneak onto the eShop without any heads up, and since it's our job to cover every single indie game for the Switch, we've gathered those titles and labeled them as our neglected Nindies. This week is light though, so without further ado, let's check out the 6 neglected Nindies released since episode 75. Sagrada is some kind of board game with its two primary elements being dice and stained glass windows. It's developed by Dire Wolf Digital, who is a newcomer to the eShop, and the trailer is at least interesting. Can't say there are many games in the stained glass window dice drafting genre, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. But the $15 price tag is probably a bit too high for something that's yet unproven. Time Tenshi is only the second Nindy we're discussing this week, but it's already my favorite because of its hilariously on-the-nose theme song about the visual novel of a time traveler who lives in a time where everyone else is a scantily clad anime girl with bunny ears, a maid costume, and or just enormously large breasts. It's developed by Silver Cow Studio and released for $12.74. And while I'm going to end today's show by letting you hear this masterpiece in its entirety, let's all take a minute early on in today's show to appreciate the masterpiece that is the Time Tenshi theme song.
To alter fate, we will face jeopardy aplenty. Go through time's gate, we become Time Tenshi.
That's good, isn't it?
Time Tenshi.
In trying to pronounce Daninho Adventures, I realized the word looks like someone tried to type dino when they were just really messy drunk. And that's fitting because the dinosaur at the center of this pixelated 2D platformer also looks like he was designed by someone who was just really messy drunk. If you're watching on YouTube, I mean, look at this. How derpy is this little guy? Either way, it's another by-the-book side-scrolling platformer. It comes to us by way of Cubite Interactive, and it's only 99 cents. But those are all of the neglected Nindies that might actually be worth considering this week, which means we've got 3 Nindie no-nos coming up that I cannot in good faith imagine anyone wanting to add to their collection. And what better way to start than with good old Sabek, the arbiters of garbage. This week, they think you'll spend $10 on table tennis, but come on, I think you know better than that. The next one might be a little unfair because it's cheap and it doesn't look too offensive, but frankly, Mini Puzzle Balls is published by Cool Small Games. I looked into this weird little 99-cent puzzle game and found that it was developed by Tap It Games. I looked that studio up and there's no mention of this game anywhere on their website. However, there is a PC game called Star Swapper that looks like the exact same game. And something about that whole situation just rubs me the wrong way. I've been burned before, citizens. I've been burned before. And last but not, I don't know, the whole point of this category is kinda the least, so maybe it is last but least? Anyways, Country Tales is something. Cartoony 2D art, looks like you tap on things and then wait for stuff to happen, and then the things that you tap on can reward you with up to 3 stars. There's a fairly detailed description that focuses on the story of a farmer named Ted, but as the description doesn't actually speak to what the game is, and it has all of the trappings of one of those mobile time waster games, I gotta say hard pass on this, especially at $10. All in all, there's probably nothing here really worth exploring further. That dice and stained glass game looks kinda neat, but I can't tell exactly what it is, and I'm certainly not gonna spend $15 just to try it out. And that's fine though, because we've got a nice mix of games coming out over the next week, including one that I'm spending some time playing with the Nindy Avengers across Nindy Nexus, Switchaboo, and Switch Indie Fix. Those guys are great, and we had a lot of fun the other day with Heroes of Hammerwatch. Oh, and while I'm at it, that game is pretty janky, and there are a fair amount of quality of life improvements that it really needs, but if you're looking for a Nindy trifecta to play online with some friends, it is fantastic for that specific purpose. Where was I? Oh, right. Lots of variety in this week's releases, so let's check out the 19 brand new Nindies hitting the eShop August 1st through the 7th. On August 4th, the week kicks off with a title that I had no idea was a thing, but I'm pretty excited to try. It's $30, which should understandably turn a few people off this week, but Scully from Finish Line Games and another title published by Modus launches, and I think this one is going to fly under a lot of people's radars. In Scully, you play as, well, a skull, and it's a big 3D puzzle adventure where you roll around big open areas, and the mechanics look exactly like all of the Morph Ball segments from the Metroid Prime games. And I don't say that lightly either. Metroid Prime is a firm number 4 on my personal top 25 games of all time. In addition to the skull rolling stuff, you gain abilities to turn into various creatures to help you navigate across the fantasy-themed world, and all of it looks really nicely crafted with very polished visuals. Again, I just don't have room for a $30 game that isn't likely to blow my socks off, but I will be watching reviews for Scully, because if it turns out to be as great as the games it seems to be inspired by, it could be a little sleeper hit. Moving on to August 5th, Sometimes You published a turn-based RPG developed by Igor Roshkev called Steam Tactics. This is one that if it wasn't priced right, I probably wouldn't consider, but at $7.99 I am totally down for a solid, traditional turn-based strategy RPG about a bunch of anthropomorphic woodland creatures in space. I like what I see regarding the simple yet customizable progression systems, and it looks charming as heck. Steam Tactics might not be a bad pick for those of you looking for a simpler game in this genre. Bigway is a publisher that I've been very curious about recently. A few months ago, they published the hilarious Big Drunk Satanic Massacre, which is a game I have been dying to try. Have any of you played it, by the way? I just learned there's a PC demo, so I might have to check it out. And then last week, they published the much less intriguing One Dog Story. This week, though, they bring us Mystery Mine, a lighthearted, rudimentary, side-scrolling action-adventure which unfortunately doesn't really seem to do anything special. It might be worth throwing on your wish list, but another one at $7.99, there's just too many of these already out there when you could get something like Mabel in the Wood or Battle Princess Madeline for the same price. Moving on to August 6th, we've got the big Thursday drop with 13 new releases, and 3 of them are absolutely worth considering. And 3 of them make me realize that game development is now large enough that it is no longer a universal labor of love. First up on Thursday is definitely leaning towards the latter, as Silesia Games and developer Painful Smile bring the lazy, uninspired multiplayer party game Ultra Food Mess to the Switch for $3.99. Oh, and remember a couple of weeks ago when we covered that bizarre black and white game about social norms? I forget what it's called, but someone in the comments told me it was actually decent. Anyways, this next game has to be by the same team, as Indie Nova is publishing Cruel Band's Career for $3.59, and it looks extremely similar, yet this one I can actually kinda tell what the game is inside this thing. It's kinda like a tower defense mixed with a turn-based RPG battle system. You manage a band who has to deal with cruel audiences throwing crap at them during a show, so you're managing their positions, using abilities, and just trying to survive the level or song or gig or whatever. Afterwards, you can buy more abilities and replenish your band before moving on to the next level or song or gig. It's weird as hell, but hey, it's cheap, it looks pretty funny, not sure if it's supposed to be, but it's something unique, that's for sure. And then we have a game that I am so glad I looked into while randomly browsing the eShop last week. That's a thing I do at 2 in the morning before I go to bed, so you don't have to. You're welcome. Clan N is probably best described as a multiplayer 2D arcade game and is developed by Cremative, releasing for $14.99. You and up to 3 friends, online or off, are a band of samurai who will hack and slash your way through this adventure, but there are tons of various minigames and modes, including perspective changes, levels that remind me of some of my favorite Mario Party minigames, and some totally righteous boss battles with multiple options to upgrade your stats and abilities along the way. This game looks dope, y'all. I'm gonna try to get a code so I can provide some more thoughts, but it's brand new on all platforms, and as far as the current feedback goes, what I've found has all been really positive. Next up is a title I know a few of you have also been looking forward to and was featured in one of the recent Indie World presentations. Airy Broken Memories is a beautiful flying game that plays like an on-rails shooter, but more focused on exploration. It's published by Epixer Games and might be the first of their titles I'm really looking forward to. This game looks great for relaxation, just something a bit more chill to play, and apparently it has a story around something like navigating through the mind and dreams of someone in a coma. I don't know how deeply that is entwined into the game itself, but hey, a little Inception for ya. Airy launches for $14.99 and is one that I would suggest watching some footage of first, but if it's the kind of game that you're into, picking it up. I usually try to keep games lumped together in the order in which they are listed on the release schedule, and sometimes I consider changing that for weeks like this, where all of the games that look worthwhile are all grouped together in a row. But you know, I didn't do that, because here's another title that I think you're going to love. SwimSanity launches on the 6th by Decoy Games, and I am so excited for this 4-player side-scrolling, I guess it's a shoot-'em-up? But it looks like there's a lot more to it, and it's kind of a boss rush game as well. I had hoped to play it with the Nindy amigos by now, but we ran out of time after playing Heroes of Hammerwatch. Either way, I love the art style, love the excitement the game creates around it, and have really been looking forward to SwimSanity since it was unveiled at the last Indie World presentation. It is dropping for $25, so while I'm really excited for it, I might suggest waiting until we can post our thoughts, hopefully alongside a Let's Play with the guys at Switch Indie Fix, Switchaboo, and Nindy Nexus. 11 sports to become the new champion. New gameplay, new controls, new customizations, single and multiplayer modes up to 8. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire description for Break First and Plug-in Digital's $25 mashup of a bunch of previously released sports minigames. They were just like,
let's throw them all together, call it Instant Sports Summer Games, and see if we can fool someone into buying it.
To which you say,
not today, good sirs. I am a citizen of the nation of Nindy, and I know of your foul trickery. I shan't be hoodwinked into this game, even if you think I should be nostalgic for this game that looks like Nintendo 64 shovelware. Not today, sir. Not today.
Drink more glurp is, kind of the same thing, actually. But the team at Catastrophic_Overload, or just Catastrophic Overload, added in that whole quote-unquote, it's a weird physics game with blob-like creatures that are super hard to control, and that's what makes it funny, kind of thing. Lots of track and field games, blobby weird characters that would probably be pretty funny. It's $9, probably not gonna go with this one, but maybe if it's a couple bucks in the future. Okay, here comes Forever Entertainment. Are we going to get the new Forever Entertainment that drops titles like Biolab Wars, Panzer Dragoon, and Towaga? Oh, man, I love that game. Or are we going to get the old Forever Entertainment that's focused on quantity over quality? Okay, Frontline Z, it's got zombies, it's super dark. Huh, that's kind of unique. You and one other friend take a position behind a barricade and fend off waves of zombies, kind of like Plants vs. Zombies, but way more active, and there's nothing cute or colorful about these zombies. During the day, you make repairs and collect new weapons or power-ups, and then the horde comes out at night. It says it's only about 2 hours long, so I mean if it's $10.79? Tough call. This could be fun, but I think we'll wait for a sale when we can combine the sale price with the Forever Entertainment owner's discount, as they're one of the publishers where if you own any of their titles, you get an automatic 30% discount on any other game upon checkout in the eShop. I'll explain more next week. Oh man. It looks like the designers of Ancient Warrior Catalya's armor are gonna have a lawsuit on their hands because in the love romance adventure game Kokoro Days, the armor does a great job of protecting her arms and her shins, but man does it leave a lot of exposure for those voluptuous anime breasts. Better hope nobody tries to attack those thighs either, cause man, I don't know what she's thinking that ripped up pantyhose is gonna do. I mean, she was reincarnated from another world, so clearly she didn't protect herself well enough the last time. I'm betting it's up to you to help her battle demons and wait, nope. It's just a story about you chilling in your room when some scantily clad anime chick appears out of nowhere. They're not even trying. Of course, such clear pandering can only come from Query8, but hey, it's only $8 and that's, not their usual $25. Actually, a budget version of a Query8 game? That sounds even worse. Crowdy Farm? Didn't we just cover this game a couple weeks ago? Oh, this is Crowdy Farm Rush. Silly me. How could I miss that this is clearly a different title? As in this $6 masterpiece, you watch as little farm animals appear on screen and have to draw a path for them to follow in order to get to their appropriate farm dwelling. Another gem by 7 levels. Perhaps I should take a second to mention that I've been told my entire life that sometimes my sarcasm is so dry that it becomes unclear when I'm being serious. So let's cut to the chase here. Crowdy Farm Rush, just like everything else released by 7 levels, is and should not be on the eShop. How's that for a Nindy Direct? Next up is a game by Playstige Interactive that can only be played in handheld mode. That's a good start. Memory Lane is a $5 memory game. Flip the cards over, select 2, try to find the matches. That memory game. We can probably consider this the Nindy no-nos section of new releases because all of these games are just... Oh, right, we're cutting through the sarcasm here. Okay, this one is also dog shit. Hey, Titan Glory from Atypical Games, a developer we haven't seen much of on the eShop. Holy crap, is this running on the Switch? Are you seeing this? This looks gorgeous. I mean, it's a big mech battle arena for 12 players with online multiplayer, so, maybe gorgeous isn't the right word, but frankly, it looks so good that I'm actually skeptical that this is really footage from the Switch, or that it runs at a decent frame rate. Assuming that it runs okay, and that's a big assumption, Titan Glory looks pretty rad. There's unlockable upgrades, multiple modes and arenas with plenty to keep you busy, and it's only $5. Frankly, this one seems too good to be true. I might have to check this out. Got another newcomer with Hook Games. I don't think we've seen anything from them before. They're kicking off the last releases for the week on Friday the 7th with Wordify for 69 cents. This is a crossword game and it supports touchscreen controls, but man, this interface, crosswords, they work really great with a pencil and paper. Not trying to be a crotchety old man here, but even with the colorful, clean design, crosswords just aren't intuitive on platforms like the Switch. And Boombit Games is back releasing the same driving game for the 6th time now for $9. This one is their taxi game, but with buses, and boy did they come up with a creative name. In fact, I would say that taking their taxi driving simulator and renaming it City Bus Driving Simulator is half of the entire development cycle for this game. This company is just the worst. And the final new release for this week, ending things on a lighter note, is Ratalaika's release of Rogue Cube for their usual $4.99. Rogue Cube is exactly what it sounds like, a roguelike game, this one in the twin-stick shooter variety, where you play as a cube. There's a few different cubes to pick from who wield all kinds of action movie caliber weaponry, and hey, it looks like a simple little game that delivers on its promise. Probably not too big of a standout in a sea of similar titles, but I ain't mad at you, Rogue Cube. I ain't mad at you. Any of this week's titles jumping out at you? SwimSanity looks like so much fun, and I can't wait to share more next week after I've had some time to play with the Nindy Avengers. Airy is just the ticket for a relaxing adventure, and Clan N is our pick for Nindy of the Week. Let me know what you're picking up in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. If that's not enough to fill your Nindy cup, don't you worry, because there are 539 games currently discounted on the eShop, and we've got a baker's dozen that we think are worth your time. Here are our picks for the best Nindy deals through at least August 7th. Chasm is a roguelike Metroidvania with beautiful pixel art and a nice procedurally generated approach that usually yields unique and clever results. At 60% off, $7.99 is a great price for Chasm, but know that this one expires a day early on August 6th. Snake Pass is one of the original Switch Nindies, which released very early on in the Switch's life, and it's still great fun today. It probably best fits in the puzzle platformer category, but as silly as it sounds, Snake Pass is best described as a snake simulator. It's 70% off for $5.99 and is a great pickup if you're looking for a quirky, cute, and fun game that has way more content than you may think. Oceanhorn is an unapologetic clone of classic Zelda games, but it's great and modernized for the current generation. This one's only on sale until the 5th, but if you're in the mood for traditional Zelda action, you can't do much better than Oceanhorn while it's half off for $7.49. Fury Unleashed is one of my favorite Nindies of the year and one I recommend for anyone wanting an action game that you can really sink your teeth into. If that wasn't enough, Fury Unleashed is a side-scrolling pseudo-twin-stick shooter with procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements. And right now, it's at its cheapest price ever, 40% off for $11.99. Velocity 2X is one of the great titles from the pre-Nindies time of indie games on consoles. It's half shmup and half, kinda Metroid-like action. It's hard to explain, but if you like chasing high scores and any type of addictive arcade action, you should definitely have Velocity 2X in your collection. As it's currently 75% off, Velocity 2X is an absolute steal for only $5. 3000th Duel is one of the better Castlevania-like games. I would say Metroidvania, but this game is clearly inspired by Symphony of the Night above all else, with a more involved and active combat system, and the overall game is fantastic. I'm also pretty sure that $8.99, which is 40% off, is its lowest price yet. Yono and the Celestial Elephants is currently 60% off for $7.99 and is a charming puzzle platformer with a heartwarming story that would be a great playthrough if you've got a young kid who could stay engaged while you read the narrative parts and then have fun helping you solve the puzzles. As far as a traditional, mostly permadeath twin-stick roguelike goes, Neurovoider is probably my favorite. I just love when these games can give you a great experience in either 15 or 90-minute runs, and the dark, mech-themed world with a gritty electronic aura really kept me hooked and coming back still 2 years later. I have seen it cheaper than $5.59, but that's 60% off, and I think it's definitely worth that price. But what about Mega Man? You want some Mega Man with a little RPG system thrown in the mix? Metaloid Origin doesn't have quite as high of a discount, but it's a great pickup for less than $5, and it's discounted by 30% for only $4.89. As a little quickfire, here's a few games that I'd recommend mostly because they're cheaper. They're still good, mind you, but this list is more from the perspective of, nothing else is grabbing your attention and you either want to take a chance on something new or just pick up a new game on a whim. Tell me if you like this approach. Swords and Soldiers is 90% off for 74 cents and is a side-scrolling tower defense action game that found its success on the iPad years ago, but it's still fun and it's hilarious through and through. Goner is a tough-as-nails action platformer that is super dark and super weird. If you like unsettling, simplistic art style and a fast-paced challenge, it's 70% off for $2.99. Toki Tori is a Game Boy Color remake, if I recall correctly, and it's about as traditional as you can get in the definition of a puzzle platformer. It's cute as a button, it's crazy cheap, it's only 49 cents, which is 90% off. And lastly, you know the video game trope where you walk into a room and you have to bounce light off of a bunch of mirrors in order to unlock a door? Archeka, The Path of Light, is an entire game built around that concept, and it's discounted by 93% for just 98 cents. How's all that sound? Sound good? Lots of great stuff this week. I think these are my favorite types of weeks for the podcast. There's just a little bit of everything. The deals are solid, there's good stuff to be had for just about everyone. I do wish there were just a couple more Nindy trifectas though. Anyways, I love hearing your thoughts in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation, but this week's new rotating segment is all about hearing from you. What you're playing, what you've been picking up, let's hear it. Crafty Baronardo has been playing Stardew Valley, which probably means that will be their response off and on, until the end of time. I love it. Picking up Pixel Junk Monsters 2 from last week's sale. The art style in that series is just so cool, especially in the sequel. Do enjoy, friend. Do enjoy. And Agent Gold picked up both of Adam Nickerson's Switch games while they were 9 cents each, Ding Dong XL and Super Bit Blaster XL, and using gold points no less. Isn't that the best? I had 749 gold points earlier this week and was able to expend literally every single one to pay for Battle Princess Madeline Royal Edition. It felt so good. Oh, and Mark of the Ninja 2? Nice. I wonder which is the better stealth ninja action game, Mark of the Ninja or Katana Zero? That's really tough. Not sure I can answer that one right now. D-Mortal also picked up Pixel Junk Monsters 2. Guess we're all in the mood for some tower defense now and then. Oh, and Crosscode. Be still, my heart. Said you haven't had time to play that much recently, and hey, don't rush it. That game is not one to be sprinted through. I feel bad for people that had to rush through it for review. Let yourself get lost in that world, it's so good. Tristan Basham, I'm sorry. Tristan is also getting Pixel Junk Monsters, and Rive! Talk about two polar opposites. I guess they can both get your blood rushing though. Oh, and you've been playing Kingdom New Lands. I don't think I've played that one. It's a strategy resource management game, right? I'm pretty sure I got it for free on the Epic Games Store, so maybe I'll look into it. Thanks everyone for writing in, and thanks everybody else for your responses. We'll keep this up every couple of weeks or so, but don't let that stop you from sharing what you're into. If you're not in the YouTube comments or on Twitter, I hope you consider getting involved. I try to jump in and chat whenever I can, and I always appreciate the interaction. I promise I read every single comment, at least for now. Oh, and who was it that I was drooling over their physical indie collection? Let's see. Clever name here at Nate Shackelford on Twitter. Dude, you've made me start rationalizing buying more indie games. That's not good, it's gonna get me in trouble. Okay, you know the drill. This is where I say we looked at what we missed, we looked at what's ahead, we checked out the deals on the eShop, and this week we got to hear a little bit from all of you. So now it's time for me to tell you thank you for listening, for watching, and to remind you all that Nindie Nation posts every Monday to podcast feeds and to YouTube, complete with footage of every game covered. Be sure to check out the Let's Plays and other videos we're posting on the channel because there's a couple in the cooker that should be going live very soon. For all other things Nintendo, go check out the fine folks who make Nindie Nation possible over at the Nintendo Village. Every day they're dropping brand new articles, features, reviews, and even weekly shows and podcasts just like this one. You can find everything they do in one place at thenintendovillage.com, and we thank them for their support. Next week's gonna be exciting. Not only do we have two of the most unabashed anime games that I have ever seen, but we've got an exciting PC port that was hyped in the last Indie World presentation and what looks like a hilarious 16-bit run-and-gunner. I can't wait, but I think we're gonna have to, friends, because my time machine is in the shop and we're all done for this week. Next week, for the new rotating segment, we'll take a look at one publisher and dive into some of their games, so be on the lookout for that new segment, and I look forward to chatting all things Nindy with all of you again next week. Until then, I'm Jeff, this has been Nindie Nation episode 76, and whether you're swimming through the sea, flying through the sky, or just roaming procedurally generated dungeons, know that Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.
Time Tenshi. the past.